Hello, Chill Computer Guy. Today we're in Bitwig Studio 2.3.5. That's right, we've had an upgrade, an update, I guess. An update, I guess, is what you would call it. Not much to talk about with the update, just a few minor bug fixes. But they did announce Bitwig 2.4, which is looks pretty exciting. But unfortunately, my subscription has expired. So, you know, if I want to partake in a point upgrade, I'm going to have to pay, you know, the $169 or whatever to renew my subscription. So I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, here's the thing. I'm really on board with Bitwig. Me and Bitwig right now, we're hitting on all cylinders. I love this DAW. This DAW feels good. It's got a few little things here and there, but I mean, it is my DAW of choice. I've pretty much dropped Propeller Head Reason from the playlist right now. And any music that I'm working on lately in the last, 6 months, not that I have tons of time to work on music, but when I do have time to work on music, I'm exclusively in Bitwig Studio now. And I really, really love this DAW. Today we're going to talk about the replacer device. You can see up here we have a drum loop. And this drum loop it kind of has a weird meter. Check this out. It kind of has a weird meter. It loops right there at basically 2.5 bars. And what does that make it? Does that make it a 3/4, 6/8? I don't know. I'm not a big time signature guy. But the thing that I love about this is this loop, since it's 2.5 bars, and this is correct tempo, 110, 110, so we're not stretching at all here. But this is an odd meter. What that means is as you stretch it out, you can see that 2 full loops is 3 bars, which is kind of not quite, it's a multiple of 12. Which means if you stretch this out to 12 bars, like we did here, see, we stretch it out to 12 bars, it goes exactly 12 bars. So you can kind of work with that as far as when it comes. The only thing about using an odd meter is when it comes to arranging, it can get a little complicated because obviously you don't want to cut apart, the 8 bar, the 16 bar loop. You don't want to cut right in the middle of a loop, obviously. But the thing about using an odd meter is once you start to lay down your bass line, staying in the correct meter, you're going to get some syncopation, which can add a lot of variety, can add a lot of kind of a little bit of a hook, I mean, syncopation is a beautiful thing. Let's go ahead and go back to full screen. You can see this is the full screen, the full Bitwig screen. This is not full resolution. This is increased resolution. If you didn't know, you can go up here and right-click and increase and decrease your screen resolution. See, this is actually the maximum. This is 1440 basically, but that's too hard to see, so I've increased it a little bit. Just to let you know, I am planning on having a full Bitwig course from beginner to expert. I just got to find the time to do it because like I said, I'm really committed to Bitwig Studio right now. I'm really feeling this DAW. But again, we're just kind of rambling here. We're here to talk about the replacer device. That's this guy down here. Whoops. That's this guy down here. Now what the replacer does is it's going to take that drum loop we were just looking at, and that's going to come into the replacer, okay? And the replacer is going to listen to it. And the replacer is going to spit out MIDI information. Now, you can always tell MIDI information by this yellow LED right here, okay? You'll see MIDI coming in, you'll see MIDI going out, okay? It's always up here in the corner. So something I like to do with every single Bitwig device is go through and right-click and set to default on every single parameter on the device. And then once it's to default, I make slight adjustments. A lot of this is my OCD, and some of this is just where I want the device when I load it. You want it in a usable state when you load it. Also, I don't like any macros or remote control they call them now. I like these devices as default as possible. I want a nice clean device. And so what I've slowly done is gone through pretty much all the Bitwig devices, and there's tons of them. There's tons of them now. And so this takes some time to do. And I slowly, as I start to familiarize myself with the replacer. In this case, I didn't know anything about the replacer. There was somebody who had a tutorial on it, which I saw. And I'll leave an actual link to that tutorial here in the description, because when I saw it, it really changed my outlook, because I've been looking to bounce. I love the idea of bouncing audio to MIDI, which Bitwig Studio does not have yet. which is a huge deal, you know, but hopefully they'll get something like that. But the replacer is kind of along that same kind of line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the replacer. And now how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to use this drop down here, okay? In here, this is the sidechain click. This is my hi-hat. And if you saw last week's tutorial on sidechain compression, you'll know I talked about using an E-hat to sidechain with here. This is the E-hat here. And again, I've right-clicked and set to default on every single parameter in here. And so now you hear we have this clicking noise. Isn't that a beautiful clicking noise? But this is the clicking noise that we're going to use to sidechain with. But the thing is let's say we're going to sidechain with this drum loop. You know, this is audio right here. You can't really you know, how are you going to sidechain without you got audio here. And so what you got to do is you got to turn this audio into MIDI and then feed that MIDI to the E-hat, and then use that E-hat to sidechain, like, let's say, your bass line or whatever. Now, this is one way to do it. Like I say, there's many ways. An easier way to do it is to use the modulator, the audio sidechain modulator. That is a really powerful thing. And then what you do is you automate the volume of whatever instrument, whatever track you're working on. You automate the volume based on the audio sidechain. But in this case, we're going to highlight the replacer device, okay? So let's go back down here to the replacer device. And to get this thing to work, what you got to do is you got to go to this drop-down menu. Again, we're looking to feed this this E-hat. So you can see I've named it Click Sidechain. I always think it's very important, naming conventions. When you get to routing and stuff, it's very important to have your stuff named properly. Under the all-ins, what we're going to do is we're going to use this drop-down. And we're going to go to our drum loop, and then we're going to go to our replacer, okay? Very, very easy, but very, very important. So now what's going on here is you have your drum loop, right? Your drum loop has the replacer on it, okay? So the drum loop is going to go through the replacer, okay? And then the MIDI output of the replacer is going to go in this click sidechain track, okay? Now when we hit record, you're going to be able to see what's going on here with this. Now, you're going to notice when we play this drum loop, we're going to have to adjust this threshold. The drum loop is going to appear, it's going to light up the MIDI LED here, okay? On both sides of the device, that represents the flow of MIDI through the device. So you can see as I decrease or increase the dB of the threshold, only the most loudest hits are going to trigger MIDI, okay? That might be your kick drum, that might be your bass drum, and again, you can use this notch filter to really zero in on what you want the replacer to produce as far as MIDI is concerned. So with the built-in filter and the threshold control, you can really zero in on when this is going to produce MIDI. All right, let's go ahead and no further ado, let's go ahead and set this to default value, set everything to default value. Let's go ahead and play this drum loop, and then again, we have this route of the replacer. We're going to have to hit record on the side chain there. And remember, the side chain is where the MIDI is going to land, okay? So let's go ahead and play this. All right, so there we go. As you can see, as we adjusted the replacer, the MIDI that was getting basically tracked was very, very different. So the ability to track the audio coming off that drum loop into MIDI, the ability to kind of track it is pretty unique. It's pretty cool. I really like that idea. And it's all from, you know, the replacer, basically, you know, this device here. And the thing that's unique about it, like I say, there's a notch filter, there's a threshold, there's a hold time, and all these things you can adjust to really get a lot of variation when it comes to the MIDI that it creates, you know. You can see that there's a lot going on there, you know, there's very, very detailed things going on there based on, you know, like that hold. If you adjust the hold, you're going to get longer MIDI notes. If you adjust the, you know, the notch filter to just, you know, notch out like where the snare drum or just the kick drum is, if you notch it there, that will give you MIDI information at those frequencies. So it's a very, the replacer is a very, very valuable thing is what I'm getting at. And now you can take this information and then turn your E-hat on, solo that, play this. No. Okay, let's go ahead and stop that. What we'll do is we'll create a quick bass here. We're gonna add a bass. Let's get a big long MIDI note going on here. Get a big long MIDI note. Let's get that thing, let's get it 12 bars long. Let's mute that. We got to mute that side chain right there. And again, this is going to be our bass, so we got to turn it blue. It's very important to, you know, color code this stuff here. All right, let's use a Dynamics plugin, Bitwig Dynamics. Let's go into click side chain. You want to be sure and go pre. Pre is very, very important because we're going to mute the thing, you know. All right, let's check this out. We got to start it over. Need some grit. I need to put a chord progression in. Oh, man. Oh, my God. How much noise. It's a beautiful noise, though. It's a beautiful noise. It's a beautiful noise. So as you can see, we started out with a simple, drum loop. This is from the Loop Loft. I don't remember what pack it was from. It's just the Loop Loft. I think they gave me some free drum loops or something one day in my email. And I just drug it into here. I flipped through the browser, found this drum loop. I'm like, hey, that's got a cool groove, and it's off time. It's 6/8 or whatever, or 3/4 or 7/9. I don't know what the hell it is, but the fact that it was out of time, it wasn't the standard 4/4, made it exciting to me. And so I put it in here, put out the 4 bars, because 4 bars I can work with for now. We used the replacer device right there. How cool is that? But here's the thing: is the Bitwig community, to me, is a community that there's a small community. There's a small community teaching, I must say. A lot of the things that are really unique about Bitwig Studio, people aren't necessarily teaching each other or expressing those things, or they're getting overlooked. And the replacer device is a perfect example of that, because somebody made a tutorial about the replacer device, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like, this is information I did not know, and I probably wouldn't have known. I didn't know what the replacer device was, but like I say, the tutorial was done. I checked it out, and I commented on the tutorial. I think it's very important. If you learn something from, a content creator here that does, Bitwig tutorials, be sure to comment. Tell them thanks for the tip, because I think it's important as a community of Bitwig users to kind of teach each other a lot of the things, a lot of the weird quirks about Bitwig Studio. Here's a quick tip right here. See this mix knob? Let's say I'm going up and down and I want a real precise amount. It's like I could either dial this and rip my hair out of my head trying to get that amount, or you can hold down on Control and click. And look at that. You can type in whatever amount you want right there. Isn't that nice? All you got to do is hold down on Control and click, and you can type in the exact amount, 30, for example. I'm going to turn it up, though. But as a Bitwig community, we need to help each other out. We need to teach each other, because I don't think there's a lot of information on Bitwig, and I think Bitwig is kind of it's kind of a sleeper to me. There's not a lot of people doing tutorials. There's not a lot of people talking about Bitwig. There's just not a huge thing. I mean, look at Ableton. You got a million jillion different, people doing Ableton tutorials, and Ableton, in my opinion, yeah, it's a great DAW, but I think the Bitwig Studio, it's half the price. Bitwig Studio does a lot of things that I think Bitwig Studio, for being on version 2, is really in a good spot right now. I mean, it's a really beautiful DAW, and the workflow is just intensely great. There's a few things here and there, but there's always going to be, it's a version 2 right here. But you compare version 2 compared to where they started, 1.0, and they've come a million miles. And imagine Bitwig 10, it's going to blow Ableton out of the water. I mean, the thing is they've started on a good foot here in Bitwig Studio, and the replacer's just another device that they've added. I don't know when they added it. I remember hearing about it, and I never used it. I don't know what it was, but that's what it is you can basically feed audio through it. You can feed MIDI. You can feed anything through it. You can, and you can replace that. Not only can you produce MIDI from the audio, but you can actually use that audio to trigger a device. In other words, I could put an instrument right behind this, and it'll play the instrument based on where my threshold setting is at, based on where my notch filter. It'll only play the notes. And this is something that I was messing around the other day, and is pretty powerful as well, because what I was doing is I was putting an arpeggiator to the right of this, and then feeding an instrument with it. And I was playing my loop and adjusting the threshold, adjusting the notch filter, and finding sweet spots in there. You find sweet spots, and when you find a sweet spot, it's like hook, hook, hook. And there's so many minute little things that if you're playing your loop and you make adjustments to them, you'll find the pocket, you'll find the hook. And so, yeah, always check that out. Always be aware of that. Always be aware. Another good one is use an arpeggiator and then adjust the attack on your instrument as you're playing your loop. And you can get in the pocket. You can find the hook. And then you EQ that to emphasize that in your track. Next thing you know, you're off to a flying start. So, the thing that I love about Bitwig Studio is you can throw some stuff in and start to, put together a loop. And the workflow is just impeccable. It's beautiful workflow. There's a few things, you know, but I'm actually going to have a video coming up on what I expect in a Bitwig 2.5. I know 2.4 was announced, but like I say, my subscription plan is expired, and so I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, I'm going to have to pay for a point upgrade? So I'm a little, you know, disgruntled about that, but I consider myself the type of Bitwig user that will definitely promote this DAW, that will definitely, you know, I'd love them to offer me a coupon code. Look at my tutorials. Look how much passion and love I have for Bitwig Studio, you know. But anyway, check it out. I gotta go. Chill Computer Guy here. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We're gonna have Bitwig tutorials. We love the Bitwig Studio. Give me a thumbs up. Comment below. Let me know what you want to see. I'm gonna do some more stuff on sidechaining. I think it's an over talked about subject, even though I'm gonna do like 3 or 4 videos on it. But there's a lot of different ways to do it here in Bitwig Studio. A lot of different options, and you can find something that's really that works, that hits the sweet spot, that's right in the pocket, you know. The pocket, the sweet spot. Remember, these tutorials, they're not for beginners, they're not for experts, they're for everybody. And also, subscribe, because we are going to do, or I am going to do a Bitwig course. I wish it was we. I wish I had somebody to cut it all up for me, but I'm going to cut it up. But I'm going to do a Bitwig tutorial from beginner to expert. It's going to be called Bitwig Studio from beginner to expert. And I don't know how many parts it's going to be, but it's something that I'm going to try to do in the next like few months. Try to kind of piece it together. And so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. If you open Bitwig Studio and you're like, wow, this is really neat, this feels good, but you're unsure on a lot of things, you might want to check out that course. Like I say, it's not out yet. I'm planning on putting it together in the next couple of months. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click that bell. You don't want to miss anything. Check out Grouthead. Just type in Grouthead to YouTube. That's my other channel. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Tell a friend about this channel. Share it on social media. If you know a person who's into Bitwig Studio, be sure to tell them about this channel, because I'm definitely gonna go 100% Bitwig Studio. I'm gonna drop Reason on the sideline for a little bit. Just it's not doing it for me. Check out the replacer device here in Bitwig Studio, because it's a pretty unique thing. And what you want to do is get your drum, get your bass, feed it into the replacer, and then put an instrument to the right of it, and then adjust that threshold. Get it in the pocket, and you'll have those little notes right when that bass drops out. You have a little ping there, you know, and you can find a pocket there. Find yourself a hook. You know, it's all about finding the hook. Anyway, Chill Computer Guy, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again. Bye-bye now.